Forget potency for a second. Forget aroma. Forget chemical profiles entirely. Because some of the most dramatic changes you can make to a flowering plant have nothing to do with what ends up in a lab report and everything to do with what the plant physically becomes under light. Shape, spacing, density, surface texture, flower presentation, and final structure are not random cosmetic outcomes. They are physiological responses, and the real breakthrough is understanding that photosynthesis is only half of what light is doing. The other half is instruction. Light does not just feed the plant, it tells the plant what kind of world it thinks it is living in, and the plant builds its body accordingly. That is where photomorphogenesis enters the conversation. Most growers are trained to think about light intensity, PPFD, DLI, fixture wattage, hanging height, and coverage. All of that matters, but those numbers mostly describe how much energy the plant receives for photosynthesis. Photomorphogenesis is different. It describes how specific wavelengths influence plant architecture, developmental timing, leaf angle, stem elongation, flower formation, and tissue structure. In other words, two plants can receive similar total light intensity, but if the spectral composition is different, they may build very different bodies. And that is also why the equipment side matters so much. Quick shout out to Mars Hydro for supporting this video. I personally use the Mars Hydro FC 4800, and for a topic like this, it's a great example of why lighting is more than just brightness. You need strong, even canopy coverage before you can really talk about spectrum, structure, and plant response in a controlled way. But when you go onto the Mars Hydro site, it is not just lights. They also have grow tents, complete tent kits, ventilation systems, inline fans, clip fans, carbon filters, controllers, and smart grow equipment to help build out the full environment. So whether you're upgrading your light, building a tent, improving airflow, or adding more control to your setup, check out Mars Hydro through the link in the description and use promo code EASY at checkout. Good equipment does not replace plant science, but it gives you the foundation to actually apply it. This is one of the reasons full spectrum white lighting has started to show its limits as the only answer. Full spectrum LEDs can produce excellent growth, and for most growers, they are the best foundation. But once the basic environment is stable, the next level is not always just pushing more intensity. More PPFD does not automatically mean better structure. At a certain point, the question becomes more specific. What signal is the plant receiving, and what structural response is that signal creating? Far red light is one of the most misunderstood tools in that conversation. To the human eye, far red barely feels like light at all. But to the plant, it carries powerful information about competition. In nature, far red increases when sunlight passes through or reflects off surrounding leaves. Plants interpret that spectral shift as a sign that they are being shaded by neighbors. The classic response is shade avoidance. Stems elongate, internodes stretch, leaves reposition, and the plant tries to outgrow whatever it thinks is blocking the light. That response is usually treated like a problem, but in controlled environments, it can also be understood as a structural tool. The question is not whether far red can influence elongation. The question is whether that elongation can be used deliberately to build a better frame before final flower development. A plant with extremely tight spacing can trap humidity, shade its own interior, and create uneven development deeper in the canopy. A slightly more open framework can improve airflow, allow light to penetrate deeper, and give the plant more usable surface area for later development. The danger is that this response has to be controlled. Too much elongation can create a loose structure, reduce density, and cause the plant to spend too much energy stretching instead of consolidating. That is why far red should be understood conceptually as an architectural signal, not a magic trick. It can help shape the skeleton, but if the skeleton keeps stretching too long, the final flower structure can lose compactness. The value is in timing. using expansion signals when the plant is still defining its frame, then shifting focus as the plant moves toward final consolidation. That transition is important because flowering plants do not stay in one developmental mode forever. Early flower is when architecture is still being established. Later flower is when the plant begins consolidating tissue, thickening structures, and finalizing presentation. The same wavelength that may be useful during one stage can become counterproductive if applied at the wrong stage. Spectral control is not just about what light is present, it is about when that signal is delivered. Ultraviolet light sits on the other side of the conversation. UV is not just extra blue light, and it is not simply another way to increase intensity. UV acts more like stress information. It tells the plant that it is exposed to a more hostile environment, and the plant responds by protecting itself. That protection can involve changes in surface chemistry, epidermal development, and tissue structure. In flowering crops, controlled UV exposure is often discussed because it can influence how exposed floral tissues defend themselves and how compact or reinforced the final surface presentation becomes. The important word is controlled. UV stress follows the same biological principle as most stress responses. A small signal can trigger adaptation, but too much causes damage. Below the useful threshold, the signal may be too weak to matter. Inside the adaptive range, the plant responds by reinforcing exposed tissue. Above that range, the result becomes bleaching, stalled development, damaged leaves, and reduced performance. So the goal is never to punish the plant. The goal is to understand how light signals influence morphology and where the line is between adaptation and injury. This is where far red and UV become interesting as opposite ends of a developmental strategy. Far red can signal expansion and competition. UV can signal defense and consolidation. In broad terms, one helps explain how the plant opens and structures its frame, while the other helps explain how the plant protects and finishes that frame. That does not mean every grower needs to aggressively manipulate both. It means that flower morphology is not just a passive genetic outcome. It is an interaction between genetics, environment, and the light information delivered across the plant's life cycle. This is also why final flower shape should be measured, not just described. If the conversation is about morphology, then the metrics have to match. Total yield alone does not tell the whole story. Chemical testing alone does not tell the whole story. Structural engineering requires structural metrics. Internodal spacing matters, flower density matters, leaf-to-flower ratio matters, surface presentation matters, even trimming behavior matters because a flower with excessive leaf expression handles differently from one with cleaner floral stacking. A data-driven grower should be asking better questions. Did the canopy become more open without becoming weak? Did light penetration improve after structural changes? Did the final flowers become tighter or just smaller? Did surface area increase in a useful way? Did the flower become easier to trim? Did the plant maintain health while responding to the signal? Those are measurable outcomes. Without measurement, spectral manipulation becomes just another version of folklore. That is the larger shift happening in controlled environment horticulture. Light is no longer just a utility bill, it is becoming a developmental language. Older grow advice often treats lighting as a simple energy problem. More watts, more intensity, more output. But modern plant science shows that light is also informational. Plants read wavelength ratios, they read day length, they read intensity changes, they read shade signals, they read stress signals, and then they build their bodies according to those signals. This is why the phrase full spectrum should not be treated as the end of the conversation. Full spectrum can be a great baseline, but fully optimized growth depends on how that spectrum interacts with the plant stage, genetics, and environment. A strong LED platform gives the plant the energy it needs, but spectral awareness teaches the grower how the plant is interpreting that energy. Once intensity, temperature, humidity, nutrition, and airflow are stable. Morphology becomes the next frontier. The real takeaway is that flower structure is not accidental. Density, openness, leafiness, spacing, surface texture, and final presentation are all downstream expressions of how the plant interpreted its environment. Far red can influence how the plant builds its frame. UV can influence how the plant protects and finishes that frame. Together, they reveal something basic grow advice often misses. Final flower morphology is not just grown, it is signaled. The future of flowering crop science will not be defined only by higher PPFD numbers or more efficient fixtures. It will be defined by spectral precision, better measurement, and a deeper understanding of when light should act like energy and when it should act like instruction. The growers who understand that difference will not just be growing plants under lights. They will be using light to guide architecture, shape structure, and create more intentional final flower development. All right, that's it for today, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. Remember to check out Mars Hydro using code EASY at checkout if you want to use any of the equipment mentioned in this video, and please comment with video suggestions and ideas below. But thank you for watching, and as always, peace.